Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to HG Radio, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration. Here is your co-founder and host, Kim Becker.
Hello, gorgeous. You are listening to Hello, Gorgeous, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. I'm your host, Kim Becker, once a hairdresser and a salon owner, now the founder of a nonprofit organization that coaches and trains women with cancer to help them smile when they look in the mirror. And if you ask me, I'll tell you, I have the best job in the whole world. This episode is brought to you by Amplified Marketing Group. They specialize in affordable mobile solutions that will get you noticed and help you retain customers. Check them out at www.amplified.marketing. Today, our guest is returning to our show, which I'm so excited about, ROSEMARY SEELAUS. ROSEMARY is a senior Anaplastologist at IU Center for Craniofacial Center. And on a previous episode, Rosie actually shared her own cancer journey with us. She was diagnosed with breast cancer and is a 10-year survivor. And so we want to kind of deep dive into, in this episode, into how her work, how her cancer diagnosis has impacted her work and vice versa, how her work impacted her cancer diagnosis. So I am so excited that you are returning for a second episode, Rosie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim. It's a pleasure to be back.
So first thing is, so I got to share how I heard about you, and which I'm so grateful that, because I don't know that our paths would have crossed any other way, but I got an opportunity to meet a patient of yours who has also been a guest on our show, Mary Jo Satoris. And Mary Jo shares her story of her cancer journey, and which led to basically the removal of her nose. And she now has a prosthetic nose. And I, of all of the years of being involved with Hello Gorgeous and working with women with cancer, I had never met anybody that had ever gone through anything like that. And, she's such an incredible woman and just carries herself in such a manner. Like, I would have never known that she had gone through everything that she had gone through. But I was so grateful that she was willing to share her story with our audience, and that she then connected you and I. And so the work that you do, I just think about the definition that a nose gives a face. And again, my whole journey is to try and help women smile when they look in the mirror. I don't know what it would be like. How can you even look at the reflection of yourself in the mirror without a nose? And so, that's just one piece of what you do. But so I'm grateful that Mary Jo introduced us, because otherwise I'm not sure our paths would have crossed. But so let's talk a little bit first about what is an anaplastologist.
Certainly. So an anaplastologist is someone who designs and fits external artificial prosthetic devices for the face and body. And primarily, the majority of anaplastologists in the United States, like myself, are not medical or dental professionals. We're clinicians, so we're allied health clinicians. And oftentimes we work together with whole surgical teams or in a multidisciplinary environment, as I do here at the Craniofacial Center.
And so how did you even get into that line of work? Was it like, did you wake up one day and just, this was a dream job for you, or was there something that inspired you? Or, because I don't even know where you would begin, and the training that you would have to have in order to do what you do is just fascinating to me.
Yeah, and that's absolutely a fair assessment. For me, it was completely by accident, to be honest. I do credit my high school AP biology teacher, Rosemary Strout, who has since passed. But she noticed how focused I was when I was drawing the cells, during our lab periods. And just that really seemed to be something I was very good at and I really enjoyed. And so she sort of plugged this idea in my head of scientific and medical illustration. And she says, this area might be a good fit for you, because I was getting ready to go off to university and had both a love of science, but also a love of art. And she's like, this might be the perfect thing. So I kind of tabled that, and my focus in my undergraduate degree was primarily field hockey. So I played field hockey and lacrosse at the time. At any rate, once I got through, I'm an alumnus of Northwestern. Once I got through there, I started off my career and ended up in a career in marketing and communications. And I just found that, this bug kind of just kept eating at me. And so I decided to just completely early on in my professional career to switch paths completely. And I decided to go back to school. At the time, there were only 5 schools that had graduate training in what was referred to as medical illustration or medical art. And UIC happened to be one of them. So I applied to all 5 schools. Didn't get into any of them, thought, oh, what am I going to do now? But ultimately, by the end of right before they were going to start their semester, I got a call from UIC. And while it was not my top choice, in fact, I think it was my last choice. I kind of wanted to move out of Chicago at the time. But it happened to be, I got in on the waiting list, so it took a spot. But it happened to be the only school that I learned later that had a specialty program in learning how to make facial prosthetics and anaplastology,
Wow.
which was only accidentally discovered during my training at UIC in graduate school, taking a 3D sculpture class. And we had one of our assignments just to make a prosthetic ear. And once I did that, I'm like, okay, this is it. So it was a happy, what do they say, serendipitous, a happy accident?
Yeah. Wow.
And
wow.
Yeah,
I can't, I mean, it must just be so fulfilling. Well, first of all, how many people in the United States do what you do?
Not a lot. We do have a board, a body that certifies anaplastologists, and I think that there may be like between 30 and 35 who are certified in the United States. So people like me, there are other professionals like dentists or other types of medical professionals who, when they meet someone who needs a facial prosthesis, they want to help them, so they try to do it. But as far as people who do this full time, it's easily less than 50 in the United States, and probably even a lower number than that.
But don't you think that your eye for art, though, really comes into play, that's why, one of the reasons why you're successful at this?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why the majority of, board certified anaplastologists in the U.S. predominantly come from an art background. So we're kind of artist-made clinicians. Some people come from all different pathways, but those that are recognized to really be able to produce convincing, natural appearing forms and devices that are not as noticeable, or tend to come from some kind of art training.
That's awesome. Well, and I just, what a gift, what a blessing with there only being just so few, but the impact that you must have on the lives of others. I can't even imagine. But let's take a step back, because I want to talk about like how you met Mary Jo. But given the work that you do and looking at yourself in the mirror while you went through your own cancer treatment, how did the work that you do benefit yourself as you were going through your own cancer journey?
So it's interesting. Like I said in the previous episode that, I went through chemotherapy. So I went through the drugs that cause hair loss and things like that. So I was completely bald. And, people think about, you lose the hair on your head, but you lose the hair all over your body. So I lost my eyebrows and my eyelashes, all the peach fuzz on my face. So I did find benefit that when it came time for me to draw on my eyebrows, which I made it a decision to do every single day so I would feel beautiful, I was grateful for my experience and training in how to make eyebrows, because of course that's part of the work that I do every day. So I make prosthetic eyes, including at times the eyebrow. So I learned both as a medical illustrator and artist, but also as an anaplastologist, how to draw and shape and form the eyebrow. So this was really helpful when it came time to draw my own eyebrows. And I still use some of these techniques today, to kind of put my eyebrows on every day.
Well, and it's interesting because the eyebrows are so important. When I went through cancer, I didn't have to go through any of the chemotherapy, or they were able just to kind of, they get it through surgery. So I was fortunate that I didn't have to go through that. But when you're faced with that diagnosis, like I always pull my hair back off of my face, and I think, I could do bald. I could do okay. I wouldn't like it because I'm a hairdresser. So, I'm all about the hair, but I would be okay. But it was when you lose the eyebrows and the eyelashes, that's when you look sick. And when you look sick, yes, because that's when people look at you with eyes of pity. And that's when they look down on you like, you poor thing. And so I feel like teaching people how to put your eyebrows back on and how to make it look like you've got eyelashes, even if you don't, is so empowering on that level, because then you don't look like a cancer patient, which most people that have cancer don't want to look like a cancer patient.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's huge. And I'm so proud of you for making that commitment to put your eyebrows on every day, because it really is, even if nobody saw you, even if you don't leave your house, you had them on. You knew that you felt better because if you happened to walk by and glance at your reflection, you felt better. So I think that's awesome.
And I did do that for the very reason that you say, like, I needed to not look like a cancer patient. I needed to feel and look beautiful. And so I made that commitment to myself to do that every day, in spite of the fact that I don't do it anymore. So anyhow,
but back then I did.
That's its own story. Absolutely.
So tell me, how did you meet Mary Jo?
Well, so here at the Craniofacial Center, patients are referred to anaplastology services. Generally speaking, anaplastology is a service area that is ideal when reconstructive surgeons, have kind of reached the end of their road. They've either attempted things that just didn't work out, or the patient is just tired of surgery and it's like, I don't want any more surgery, or it's just not possible, like the situation with the eye. If you were to lose not just the eyeball, but the lids and all the fat and muscles and everything around it, that is not presently surgically reconstructible, if you will. So when surgeons kind of exhaust all their potential reconstructive options, anaplastology has a real role we have a role in helping plan those surgeries, I'll just say that, but we have a role in providing a further solution. Of course, that solution is always available if the patient doesn't want to go through surgery. But in Mary Jo's case, as is the case with many, many other patients, you always want to look at, is there a possibility to reconstruct with the patient's own tissues first and see if that's viable? And that's what she did, and she was super committed to that. When it doesn't work out, or if it doesn't work out, anaplastology and silicone prosthetic devices can offer a solution. And that was essentially the situation. So, she was referred to me and to our center here by a well-known reconstructive nose surgeon. And because his attempts just, they unfortunately, even the best surgeons in the world, and if everything is done perfectly, sometimes it just doesn't work out. So, then that's kind of how patients end up getting referred to.
Wow. And so in the line of work that you do, what's the most challenging thing that you encounter in your work?
I think that both, and the most challenging is kind of paired as well with what I would call the most interesting aspect of what I do. And that has to do with, as an anaplastologist, trying to best meet or fit what I learn or have to, come to understand to be the helpful device or the helpful thing for this individual patient. So